Okay, you guys, welcome to Social Studies. Today, it's gonna be a little bit different. I will post this, but there is a article on human trafficking. It's right here, and I will go over some of this, but you're gonna have to kind of look at this to answer some of the questions of this unit, okay? But I want to go to this right now. So what I want you guys to do right now is, so this is what we call kind of a graphic organizer, and let me bring it down a little bit further. And so it's just asking, what do you know about human trafficking? So you would just kind of fill in this, put in anything you know. It doesn't have to be in sentences. You can just bullet it. You can just write your thoughts. It doesn't have to be any specific way. Don't feel like you have to do complete sentences. It's just a way for you to know, kind of get an idea of what you know about human trafficking. Then down below, you would put things, what do you want to know about human trafficking? Okay. And the same thing in that bottom one. You're just gonna, you can bullet point it, you can number it, you can star it. Like I said, there's no right or wrong way of filling one of these out. It just gets you thinking about kind of the topic, since we're doing human trafficking. So things that you know, and then things that you want to know about human trafficking, okay? And then there are, yeah, let me see, 8 questions about human trafficking, and I'll go over them. So when you do the reading, it says, who wrote the report and what time period does it cover? What are the different types of human trafficking covered in this report? What is the difference between a human trafficking suspect and a human trafficking victim? If you're a female, what type of human trafficking most likely be a victim? Give 1 statistic to support your answer. If you're an undocumented alien, what type of human trafficking you most likely be a victim? Give 1 statistic to support your answer. How many more cases were opened in Q4 of 2009 than Q4 of 2008? I'll show you that in a second. What percent of human trafficking incidents open for investigation between 2008 involved child prostitution? That'll be in the graph. 8, name 1 specific group of people that you believe to be at high risk of becoming human trafficking victims. Give at least 1 statistic. Okay. So a lot of this is going to ask you to take statistics from this report, and I'll pull the report up here. Okay. So you can see up at the top right here, this was done by the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Statistics, okay? And these basically give you the years, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 in 2008, and then Q1, Q2, Q3, 2004, 2010. So one of them asks, I think, the difference between say Q1 in 2008, there were 327 cases opened. And you click up here. So the dark blue is how many suspected labor trafficking, and that's a smaller part. The gray is sex trafficking. That's the lion's share of it. And then the green is unknown trafficking type. So the top number is the total type. So the 327 is the total type. You can see most of them are suspected sex trafficking. That's the gray. And you can see as we move further on, blue gets a little bit bigger. So there's more labor trafficking, and there's still unknown trafficking. You can see from Q1 of 2008, there was 327. Then you go up to Q2 of 2010, and there were almost 2,500. So that number has almost gone up 8 times. Okay, so you can see basically from 2008 to 2010, the cases are going up. Okay, so in this here talks a little bit about what's going on. So, and then you can see down here, here's some highlights. It says federally funded task force opened 2,515. That's this number right here, suspected incidents of human trafficking between January 2008 and 2010. So you can see it started at 327, then it goes up to almost 2,500. You can see down here, Among the 389 incidents confirmed to be human trafficking by High Data Quality Task Force, there were 483 suspects and 527 victims. More than 62% of the confirmed labor trafficking victims were aged 25 or older, compared to 13% of sex trafficking victims. Confirmed sex trafficking victims more likely to be white or black compared to labor trafficking victims more likely to be Hispanic or Asian. So this is saying the sex trafficking were more likely to be white or black, and labor trafficking were more likely to be Hispanic or Asian. So that kind of breaks it down. And labor trafficking, what that means, they're recruiting you to work probably like in what we call sweatshops for like low wages, working like 14 hours a day, sometimes in really hot buildings with no windows, no breaks, things like that. Okay. So that's kind of the difference between labor and sex trafficking would be into like prostitution. Okay. So if we go further down into this article, this is like a Victims Protection Act that Congress passed, and this talks a little bit about that to help combat human trafficking and help victims. Here is another human trafficking instance open for investigation between January 2008 and 2010 by type of trafficking. So sex trafficking, there were 2,065 cases, and that was about 82%. Adult prostitution, commercial sex acts, that was about 48%. Sexualized labor is like 5.6%. You have labor trafficking down here. So labor was about 13.9%, and sex trafficking was about 82%. And then down here you have unknown, which they probably haven't found a category, that's 6.8%. So all three of those numbers equal 100%. So you're basically going to be looking at sex trafficking, labor trafficking, and other are the three types they're really tracking here. And human trafficking case open for guest type trafficking. So this basically talks about the total incidents, and then you have the units that basically investigated them. And these are agencies involved. So you have law enforcement, victims advocacy, human services, regulatory agents, unknown. And then, so this just breaks down the agencies that are investigating these crimes. Okay. And this talks about kind of the data quality that they use for reporting these. Like any study, it kind of gives you how they did it. And this is another graph. It says percentage of case with valid data. And this is percentage of incidents with valid information entered between January by the quality of the task force. So those are just two more charts to kind of back up their data. Because in the questions, it's going to ask you to pull a statistic. So that's why they have all these charts in there. You're going to be pulling statistics out of it. Here are basically the ages, the demographics. You see the male or female, age, race, citizenship. And the same thing over here. This is broken down by male, female, age. So those kind of give you the demographics of who is being trafficked. This is just this is percentage of cases reaching confirmation outcome by months observed. So that's how they know they might be investigating like a prostitution ring or a sweatshop. And once they basically observe them, they know what the outcome is. And that's really all that says. So this gets up to starting in month 0, obviously you open an investigation, you're not gonna know how to confirm. But then when you get to like month 30, that's like 2.5 years of investigation. Obviously the number goes up because the more you investigate, you're able to confirm a case. And this one article talks about victim search survivors report serving more labor trafficking victims, sex trafficking victims. Here's another chart about outcomes, and you can see obviously the longer they're investigated, the higher the outcomes are. And here is another chart about outcomes, and that just means at the end of the investigation. So here's another chart too, and this talks about down here the methodology, how they conducted these surveys. This is just basically another chart. So there's a lot of charts in here, you guys, and I know it's a lot of stuff. But if you go back and look at kind of the questions here. So if you're a female, what type of human trafficking are you most likely to be a victim? So if you're a female, you go back to this one, and we'll just go back up here. Where's one about females? So female, you're going to say 432 out of the 477 were sex trafficking. Only 43 were labor. So this column right here would be how you could let me see, answer this one right here, number 4. An undocumented alien. Let me see if there's one about undocumented. Undocumented alien would be right here. And the same thing, it's probably, you're almost twice as likely to be a victim of sex trafficking than labor trafficking. So it's just about going in here and pulling out a statistic and putting it in your answer as well. There is a video that goes with this. I'll go ahead and post that too. And then the last thing you're going to do today is so it says read through the questions below and write in response. It's either similar or used to the form. You should use the information for today's reading as evidence. So once you're done with all this, you're going to go ahead and fill this out. So it says, based on today's reading, do you believe that human trafficking keeps some people from being independent? Why or why not? Use at least one fact or statistic from the article as evidence to support your opinion. So you're going to say either human trafficking does or does not keep people from basically being independent. And you can pick either side. And one reason I believe that is you can take something out of the article, a fact that supports that, you're going to use a fact. And then it says, in my own experience, I've noticed, and then you can kind of just give your personal opinion. In conclusion, human trafficking, you're going to say whatever you say it is bad for whatever reason you think that. I mean, if you think it's good, you can certainly take that opinion. It might be a little harder to support, but you can certainly take that stance if you want. So what I suggest you guys is just when you go up, just take these questions and just do them one by one. And like I said, the first one, who wrote the report and what time period does it cover? And if we go up to the top, let me see if I can get all the way up to the top. Okay, so it's the U.S. Department of Justice. That's who wrote the report. And it covers from, you go down here, 2008 all the way up to 2010. So it's about a 3-year period. So that would be your answer number 1. Okay, so if you want to just kind of go, question by question, that would be fine. I just suggest, and you guys can browse this article. You certainly don't have to read the whole thing. It's kind of a detailed report. But just go in and look at for specific statistics that are asked in the questions. And what are the different types of human trafficking? Like I said, it's sex trafficking, labor trafficking, and unknown. So it's 3 different types. So hopefully those give you a start on answering those questions. And just at the end too, you're going to kind of do your, after you've read this, you'll have a better idea. You're just going to go ahead and, based on the response, do you believe that human trafficking keeps some people from being independent? Obviously, if you're working for someone else, you really don't have a whole lot of independence. So that one might be a little bit easier than you thought. You're probably going to say no because you're forced into doing something you're not really independent. But I'll go ahead and post that video too, and you can just kind of work through this when you get a chance. Like I said, you don't necessarily need to read that whole article. You can just kind of go through it. All right, you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.